Welcome to the 5th episode of Mechs on Deck podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Mech Market. It's quite a heavy topic, but before we get into Mech Market, we have a little bit of a kind of mail day to go through. Some things that came in this week that we are really excited about. Chewy, if you want to go ahead and show off something cool that you got.
I'll shout out to Mech Cables. Ironically, I'm not using my camping board right now, but this is from Mech Cables, just the standard Type C to Type A. Coil's really nice. I saw this on Reddit. I have like a little sonic straw to keep the coils nice and stiff, but it's a great quality little little cable. I really like it. Definitely adds the camping vibe, takes that to the next level. So I was supposed to get some T1 switches from Novel Keys. Well, KBD fans T1 switches that I got from Novel Keys, and unfortunately, the post office decided to lose them. So unfortunately, don't have that. But Novel Keys hooked it up and took care of me, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, that's all I have for mail. So
Nice. That is a very long coil, by the way. Very long
it's
coil.
like 9 or 10 inches or something like that. It's solid, and the price was not bad at all.
Awesome.
Hit those guys up, Mech Cables.
I have two things. One of them is something that Chewy and I both kind of went in on because we have different key sets that use this. Obviously, the GMK Carbon group buy from Mastrop went out this week, and we got in on the salty caps. I'm going to use this with Hyperfuse Origins. He's obviously going to take camping and maybe a couple other things. We're also excited because it's going to fit a little bit on the GMK 9s. It looks like might be pretty close. Not exact, but it's close. So we might actually be ending up using some of these caps for a giveaway later in the future.
Giveaways. Hit that 100 sub mark. Get a little salty cap.
The other thing that I am the most excited about, as I kind of take it out of its case here, that I have been waiting on for a few weeks now, but finally got, is my antique copper TX60, which I am very excited about. I'm actually planning on probably building this maybe later today if I have time, if not some point this week, and maybe make a little video out of it. Who knows? We'll see.
It's fantastic. I have the same board in brass, and I have another TX60 that's on my desk right now, and great quality products.
Big fans of it. I was excited to be able to get one of them right after the group buy. I know that they did those back in, what was it? January when they did all the springs and the cases and whatnot. They brought these out as well. But I was able to message Ken and get one myself. So
it's hard not to go. Both of us are from Texas. It's hard not to go for a TX keyboard.
Yeah, we had to.
I know it's all the way from Korea, but come on, TX.
We had to represent. It was funny because when I went to go pick it up from the post office, the guy was like, "Why is this so heavy?" I was just like, I don't know. So
every time I ship anything on Mech Market, anytime I ship anything and I have to claim a value, they always stare at me for like 5 seconds before they type in that I said keyboards. So
yeah,
and that's a nice segue into our topic of Mech Market. So a lot of people, when you're getting into the hobby, you want something that you cannot get because we are in a hobby that you have to get things in group buy, or you're not going to be able to get some of the higher end stuff, or just some of the more one-off items that are harder to find, or keycaps that you weren't around. You may not have been around in the hobby yet, or you just don't. You've been in the hobby for a while and realize that maybe you like SA way more than GMK, so you got to scour somewhere. And Mech Market right now is one of the best ways and one of the more accessible ways to get in on that. So, Eric, where do you start in Mech Market?
I mean, really, it's just kind of you can go about it two ways. You can hunt on Mech Market. You can keep up on it. If you know exactly what you want, you can just kind of scour that Reddit thread every day trying to figure out what you'd like. Um, the best thing to do is obviously you need a Reddit account, which if you don't have,
That
it's
helps.
2019, get a Reddit account. Um, you can share some of your awesome board picks once you get her all built. But no, starting out on Mech Market is just making sure you have a couple things ready to go. You need to have a PayPal account, get it verified, just so that way it gives some trust, especially if you're a first time buyer on Mech Market. It gives some trust between who you're purchasing it from. Make sure you know exactly kind of what your budget is when you're looking for like a certain keycap set, um, and really make sure you always PM them and don't put "Hey, I'm interested" in the comments.
Yep. Yeah, the normal step process is when you do find it, make sure you read their comments and make sure if you're in, if you're one of the few mechanical keyboard enthusiasts in Alaska, make sure it doesn't say continental US only. And there are tags on the subreddit that will say, US and then the state, or their country code, and you can find a list of the country code on their sidebar. It's all pretty easy to find and pretty easy to understand. So make sure you're reading through. Make sure you're buying from someone who's not. If you see something, make sure that they're asking for PayPal, because there are a lot of people, especially with the more popular key sets and keyboards. Make sure that you're not accidentally messaging someone for how much for a board that they're trying to trade. So
Yeah.
I it's easy to say, oh, just make sure you read, but this is a free market of people just being able to kind of do what they want, and the mods are only really there to make sure scammers are not there, your posts are correct with timestamps and everything, and we'll go over that in a little bit. And kind of make sure that no one's doing anything kind of sketchy. But at the end of the day, there's not there's not like a Google form you have to fill out when you're selling, so it's all the same. It's all going to be different. So just make sure you're reading the post, make sure you understand what they want. So, but
Yeah.
buying is it can be daunting because there are a lot of options, and there is a good thing about Mech Market, which is when you are looking to buy something, it will tell you in the comments how many trades they've done, how much karma, which honestly that doesn't really mean a whole lot. But it does show you the number of trades they've done. So if you see someone that's done 50, 100, 500 trades, you know that they're probably going to be reputable. They're probably going to be uh, good. They're going to be, it's a good safe bet. Whereas someone who may have only done, 3, 5, 10 trades, not going to be, you know, it doesn't, there's absolutely nothing wrong with going for those, but we would just say proceed with caution. So,
Yeah. I mean, and never, don't be afraid to ask questions. Everyone, if they're putting something up, they want to sell it. They want to share what they have with someone else. They want it out of their arsenal and into someone else's. So don't be afraid to ask if, hey, what's the shine look like on those GMK keycaps that you've got? Or ask for more pictures. If you're really interested in buying a set of GMK Olivia, we're getting closer and closer to that set being out a year. There's going to be a lot of people who have had that on their daily driver. It might be showing some shine, and that's something you kind of want to know before you drop $300 on a key set, and then get it and be disappointed in the fact that it was not what you expected.
mhm.
So that's one big thing that I feel like a lot of people do is they're afraid to kind of dive in deeper into that board or those keycaps or even that artisan of is there something wrong with it? Is there extra scratches that I should know about that may be on the inside of the board that's not really visible, but something that you might want to know about?
Mhm. So, and also don't be afraid to, ask them if, hey, are you on Discord so that you can exchange messages quicker and you can get pictures done more efficiently as well. And then one thing else to note, shining is a big thing on GMK caps, but, especially in the last year, make sure that, if they haven't stated it already, make sure that those caps are in good condition because there was that box switch scare that did break a lot of keycaps. I unfortunately lost about 2 sets of keycaps that way. So you're spending money. Make sure that they're giving you all of the information up front because you don't want to spend mech market price on a keycap set that's damaged. So
Yeah, absolutely.
but and the other thing, and this kind of this will go for, we're going to be kind of going over buying and selling. This one absolutely goes for both. When it comes to specific items, try and kind of cross check between other posts because you don't want to go in and see GMK Olivia for $350 for just the base set and go, oh, that's a steal. Or, oh, I have the money and I'm totally willing to pay that. And if you go back, within the last few weeks and you see that a lot of sets have been selling for 300 or 250, you know, try and bargain with them if you can, because that can, you can kind of show them, and if they're not willing to budge, then I might move because it is once again, it's not regulated, so people are not wanting to. They're trying to make money. A lot of these people will buy things and try and flip it for more money than they bought it for. And there's at its core of just flip of wanting to at least make your money back or even make a little bit more money back. There's nothing super wrong about that, but you just don't want to get into a situation where you're spending an extra $50 to $100 on something. So
Yeah, there's nothing worse than if you go out and buy a kit and then 2 days later, after your money's already in the hands of the other person, you've got that keycap set with you, and you look and see someone selling it for 50, $100 cheaper. That's never fun. But if you're doing your research and you kind of know where the market sits on things, you should be able to um, figure out, hey, I should get in on this, or hey, I shouldn't. I think I've bought quite a few things on Mech Market. I know Chewy has as well.
absolutely. Sold quite a few things too.
Yeah.
So, and I've only had one kind of rough experience, and that was actually my fault. But and we can go over that towards the end. Of just things to note, especially when selling. But we will. But and then make sure that if they send you that invoice, just try and get it quick. Try it. Everybody likes quick transactions, and just be upfront. If you bought it, if they're not giving you information about tracking, ask them about tracking. If they're, make sure, if you want your expectations met, and communication is going to be the best way to go for that. So, just make sure. And then whenever you do get it, make sure you go on to the confirmed trade thread. Because you want to the way that the bot that posts in the comments, the way that bot gets those numbers for confirmed trades is you have to post something in that threads and then they have to confirm it or vice versa for those numbers to go up. And the more you buy and sell and the more you get those numbers up, the easier it is for you to buy.
Yeah, it's just like PayPal, or I mean, just like eBay. Sorry, with how you look at someone's feedback. It's the same
Mhm.
idea in terms of confirmed trades versus like feedback. Where if someone has the more trades they have, the more comfortable you're gonna feel working with them. But just know everyone starts somewhere with it, so don't be afraid to get with someone. Just make sure you check all your boxes. Don't be afraid to sell to someone who may only have a few or even zero. Um, they can still be 100% reputable. Just talk to them a little bit more. Kind of use your context clues to figure out if everything is going to go well.
So moving on to selling, if you're looking to maybe get rid of something you don't need, or you realize that you bought all these win keyless TKL boards, and you realize that you are wanting to switch to the 60% life, and you're just trying to unload, or you realize you bought 900 things, like our mod on Discord Moon, who bought about who bought too many things and forgot to wait for the group buys to finish up, and you realize that you have way too much stuff and you want to buy some more cooler things that you might like. Selling is not that it's really not that difficult as long as you follow the right steps, which are make sure your formatting's correct. Every single time I sell, I will always pull up whatever the top one of that day is and just copy that format as much as I can, or just copy something I've already done before. But just make sure your title is correct, and make sure that your post is clear enough that what have you been using it for, how long have you been using it for, are you the original owner? I don't see that enough. I do have to find out about that sometimes. If you bought that from Mech Market and then sold it, people want to know that. I would want to know that. And I would hope most people would want to know that, because you don't know all of the history behind it. I've had people, I've sold a board, and then I've had people who bought the board message me and go, "Hey, are these retooled box switches? Because I don't know." And I was like, "Oh, I should have put on there retooled." So, and then make sure your timestamps are correct. You need to make sure you have your Reddit username, and you need to make sure you have the date on there correctly, and try and take good pictures as well. Uh, can't stress it enough. Sorry for the background noise. Can't stress it enough. Try and take good pictures, because it will help you sell. So,
Yeah, it's just like anything when you're trying to sell online. If you have better pictures, it's going to get more people to look at it and be comfortable with getting into it, and purchasing that quicker. Also, if you're in the United States and you're okay with shipping it maybe to Europe or uh, any other country in the world, put that on there. If you want to only ship to continental US, make sure you put that on there. Even if you're from Europe and you're okay with shipping it to um, the US, put it on there. Put
mhm.
all that on there. Make sure that way people know, because I've done this very recently. May go on there and see something that's from the Philippines and be like, "Hey, this is a really good price. I'd love to get into it. Would you be okay with shipping it to the United States?" Some people are into that. I'm okay with purchasing things from another country if they are okay with shipping it on over to the U.S. Another thing is, especially with keycaps, make sure that you're noting whether or not it's gonna come in bags, or for like GMK or JTK sets that come with the cases for the caps, the
Trays.
trays, making sure you notify if those trays do come with it at that price. And definitely make sure you say whether or not that includes PayPal fees and shipping.
Hmm.
A lot of
Absolutely.
people will leave that out, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, now this keycap set that I thought was $150 is 200 because of the fees and shipping and all that." So make sure you note that on there.
Yeah, and if you are selling, think about what you want to price it at. Look at what other people are, what it's selling for, not what people have posted it for, what it's selling for, because and if that includes the shipping, because especially on keycap sets, those numbers will sell it, because if you post something on there and you don't include shipping, you might lose them immediately. And so, if you've done it before, especially in the U.S., almost anywhere in the U.S. I've shipped um, keycap sets outside of the trays around anywhere between $7 to $10. So, maybe you want to mark up that price, set about $10, and then get to put shipping included. I'm sure there's an entire psychological study about having certain fees just included already, but just think about what you want. The fact that you're going to be shipping this, and if you do include shipping in that, you know, it might sell better, but and there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying this plus shipping. But then sometimes people don't want to pay shipping until you after you get your receipt, and then that's two separate payments you have to worry about. So that's just, it can complicate things if you are open to it. My advice personally is just find out what it is shipped, try and do your research, and include all of that in one number, and just know that you're gonna get a little bit less than that number, but it will most like that's in my experience been the most I've had the most success that way. So
Yeah, and then overall, just be patient with it.
mm,
Some things might sell in an hour. Some things might take 3 or 4 days. Some things might even take a couple times of being posted and take a
mm,
couple months. I know we joked about a guy who is, I believe it was from Russia, and was trying to sell a blue
blue
TX60,
TX60.
and it looks like it had been posted like 4 or 5 times, and he did finally sell it. He didn't really have to go down in his price or anything. It wasn't priced wrong. It was priced well. It's just sometimes things don't go. Maybe you're you've you've got a strange color like a blue. It's not your typical color that you get out of boards, and you got to wait for that right buyer. And it might take a little while for that to come along and be ready to put down that money on it.
Yeah, and most things sell. Most
Yeah.
I've the I have one thing that I haven't sold yet, but I haven't given up. Might be overpricing it or something, but most things sell. Even the higher end stuff, they do eventually sell because someone will come along and go, you know what, people get paid at different times, and um, people will decide that they want to upgrade at different times, and you just never know. So I sold my Zephyr this past holiday and realized that I sold a couple different things all at once, and then I realized that wasn't really selling, and I posted it again about 3 days later by itself, and sold in about an hour. So
Yeah.
most
So
things sell. You just have to be patient with it, um, and don't try not to immediately, if you're going to repost something, you know try not to immediately start undervaluing it. Just if you are just a little bit patient, you'll most likely get the money that you at least deserve out of it. So
yeah, you don't want to completely devalue something that you have just because you're trying to get rid of it. Now, if you're in super need of money and you're willing to
do what
take
you want.
less, do what you want. But um,
So
we do a
uh,
great job in this community about keeping price consistency without having it to be monitored or anything. So um, don't don't be the one that's selling a $300 keycap set for $150.
mhm. So and also don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah,
We You can ask us on our Discord, Top Clocks Discord. I know all those guys. Most people will give you. You'll probably get up front a really memey answer, but most people will tell you. We'll happily tell you. We'll happily. Every time I sell anything, I talk to Eric for send him a quick text and go, hey, do you think this is the right price? I was recently selling GMK Olivia, which we'll move into our next topic about this. Uh, hey, what's the best way that we both win on getting a set that the price really kind of varies, and it really certain things have a higher target, and the more people people want, and especially with lower numbers of sets out there, these sets can gain a little bit. You can get more money than what it was actually bought for. So Mech Market hype can, some people might say, it ruins the Mech Market. So
yeah, yeah, and there's a couple things out right now like the uh, a couple of the GMK sets like Olivia or Serica, or even a couple of the other ones that have been released very recently that have gone up from their original pricing, of the $150 range all the way up to 250, 300. There's people selling laser for just under $300. Um, you don't have to pay for those hype sets. You don't have to pay for that hype TGR board. Now, obviously, there is with GMK sets, there's a chance of doing a round two. May or may not happen on a lot of those sets I mentioned, but you you don't have to pay that extra. I was talking with one of our buddies, Moon, the other day. He was looking at possibly buying GMK Serica, I think is how you say it. I don't but or
Oh, I do.
Sarika.
Sarika.
The yellow, black, and white keycap set.
The Lego cube
Yeah,
set.
the Lego cube set. It's a beautiful set. It looks awesome. But he was looking to pay about $350 for the base set. I was like, listen, man, you can buy, if you're willing to wait, you can buy 2 brand new sets for it for that same price. You know, you could find 2 sets that are in group buy right now that cost about the same, if not just a little bit more, and have 2 sets for the price that you'd pay for one. So that's another thing to think about. If you're dead set on getting that set, buy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're dead set, but if you're willing, if you're like iffy on it and you're not okay with maybe spending $300 on a keycap set, maybe wait a little bit. There might be another set that comes around that's using similar colors. Like right now there's a ton of blue sets out. You can get any kind of color blue in any variation you want. Um, so you may not have to get something like laser.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And and there's nothing wrong wanting to make some money off of a keycap set that you bought that you no longer want, that people want. You know, do try and think about the fact that if you are going to try and upsell a keycap set, you know you might not be making a whole lot of friends that way, but people are going to buy it. I ask myself all the time. I got lucky and came across a buried Reddit post that Kono was selling GMK camping extras and extra base kits, and hopped in on that. And that's still an upcharge of what they were selling at Group Buy. But man, I know GMK camping to me is the kind of end all be all set, and I'd pay a lot of money for it. If I ever lost it, I know I'd be you know selling a board and lots of switches and stuff to try and replace it, just because it's a popular set that can get overpriced pretty quickly. And so there are people that are willing to buy it, but we just ask, before you do decide to drop $300 on GMK Olivia or Red Samurai, ask yourself, well, would I be happier with maybe $300? That's an entire board.
Yeah.
That's a KBD 8X. That's as Eric was saying, that's GMK nines and waves with a couple, with maybe the novelty key set. That's 2 very solid keycap sets. So just all that costs you less money and just a little more patience. So just be careful. Be don't uh, try not to put yourself in a hole. But at the end of the day, also, if you want it, get it. If GMK Hyperfuse Origins is the greatest set of your entire life and you absolutely want it, there's no problem. So, um, but a couple things we'll mention to try and wrap it up is trades. I've personally never done trades, but that's a very scary idea, and that's something that I would try and bring in other people to discuss that trade. Now, if you're trading something like, hey, I have a blue TX60 and I want a gray TX60, and people, yeah, absolutely, but make sure that they're in the similar condition. Um, but try and bring someone else in. Try and talk to the guy on Discord. Guy or girl, try and figure out a way to gain a little bit of trust right before, especially on trades of people that are doing, that have those numbers under 10, because that can be a very scary task. All it takes is for you to ship something off and them to not ship something off, for you to be without anything. So, and avoid scammers. There's a list.
Yeah.
Um, there's a big list of scammers. So just check it, do your research.
Yeah, always trades can be a little bit scary. That's something that you know it is recommended by a lot of people in the community and can be a great way to really kind of move your way up in terms of boards. There may be someone that's willing for you to trade two boards that you have, like maybe you've got two tofus or something, and you're trying to get into like an M60A. Someone's someone may be wanting to do that trade, and you can kind of move up in your keyboard journey. Be careful, but if you can make it happen, make it happen. Just be careful.
Yep. Mech Market is very beneficial to the community. It really does help a lot of people get into the community. Um, I've seen there are people that don't shop anywhere else, and there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. It's one thing we didn't really touch on is artisan community is huge. The trading community on artisans is huge on Mech Market. It's probably, I would say, over half the posts I see daily are artisans, people trying to trade
Yep.
artisans, and that's fantastic. We're just I have had like my one experience, and I will say, pack your stuff up because make sure it's packaged well. I had a board get damaged in shipping. It broke one of the switches on it. That was my fault. I talked to the guy. We came to a mutually beneficial conclusion on what to do. But just make sure you're packaging everything. It's it might be just once you sell it, it's just the only thing you see is money coming into your pocket. But that could be someone's. If you're selling GMK Nautilus because you don't like it anymore, that could be someone's holy grail keycap set. So just be careful with your stuff and make sure. But so I was saying, it can be scary, but you can have. I've had nothing but just awesome experiences buying, and it's been a fun little ride. So doing that. So
Yeah, and it's definitely just be careful, be safe, follow the rules, make sure you know um, what you're getting yourself into, and you'll be good. We definitely um, really love Mech Market. I know my first two sets came from Mech Market that I ever purchased. Actually, I purchased them in a group together, and then I even
I think I texted you that too.
you did, and then we were actually together when I found the post for the Orange 75 that I ended up purchasing. Actually, local. It was kind of funny. We were sitting in Dave's old apartment, and I was looking at it, and I refreshed Reddit and saw an Orange 75 and out here in Texas, and just messaged the guy, "Hey, you in Dallas? Can we meet up? And can I buy this board?" Met the next day, and
Within 12
love it.
hours.
Yeah, I think the post was up for like 5 minutes total before the board was technically sold, I guess, more or less. I hadn't paid the money yet, but we did it in person, and that's another thing that's great about Mech Market. If you see someone don't that's in your state, don't be afraid to be like, "Hey, are you near me?" Um, because they might be, and you might be able to meet up and get a little bit more of a hands-on approach on that board or that keycap set, and see for yourself, hey, I want this, and I'm ready to go ahead and throw down on it. Um,
Absolutely.
but I think we have something special. We're gonna move into our keyboard of the week section.
Keyboard of the week. So last week we didn't have a picture. We had Jay on it for Jay's the J01 keyboard. But this week we have one of our Discord members posted this, and it is the E70 E75, the buy exclusive. This was a recent group buy. Happened September, October. And they started coming out earlier this year, and they look fantastic. So that purple matches with GMK laser on that quite well, and it's a great looking board. He's got a lot of this guy. I'm going metallic Charles, I think is his name.
Yeah, he's got quite a few boards that are
Each of them
quite
could
beautiful.
he could have an entire keyboard month club. But I was looking at this, and that 75%. I love this case. I love it's kind of busy, but it's a good busy. he's got the novelty keys on there, the Kobe kit, I think that's what it's called.
Kobe.
Kobe. Kobe. Some great little rainbow artisans up top. The LED, the LED. I know a lot of people aren't crazy about those LEDs on the above the arrow cluster, but we just thought it's a great board. I'm a fan of purple. I know Eric is all about the purple.
I love me some purple.
So, keyboard of the week, Metallic Charles. Thank you for posting it in our
appreciate
Discord.
Yeah, we appreciate you sharing this board and the other, I think 4 or 5 boards he showed with us. There's quite a few. We might have him be keyboard of the week a couple other times based on some of the other stuff.
He might start popping up elsewhere.
So we definitely appreciate him coming in the Discord. And again, if you want to be part of Keyboard of the Week, there is a channel in the Discord. I apologize for my dog making some noises, but yeah, there's a post in the channel. You can submit your board's Keyboard of the Week, and then we'll add it into our little slideshow in the background here. We definitely want to get as many boards as we can in that kind of rolling slideshow we have as our background.
Absolutely. So, but that'll just about do it. So, make sure you guys are subscribing and joining our Discord. We'd love to talk to you. We really enjoy. It's growing to be more and more active. This is probably the 3rd time he's come up, but Moon Moon is one of our awesome mods there, and he'll talk to you all day about keyboards. Both of us will talk most of the time, and so join there. And we're on our way. Like we mentioned earlier, those salty caps will probably be giving one out for our first 100 subs on YouTube. So thank you very much for all the support you guys have been giving us.
Thanks.